Welcome to the Get Your New View podcast. I'm Carrie Peters, and I've invited Cari Corozza, one of our consultants and trainers, to talk with us today about some of her experiences with our training and with our customers in training. Welcome to the podcast, Cari.
Thanks, Carrie. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we were talking a little bit about your particular real-world experience with your background. And you started out as an accountant. You want to tell us a little bit about your experience in that world before you started working for New View?
Yeah, absolutely. So I did start in kind of a financial accounting role. So I was doing a whole lot of month-end journal entries, account reconciliations, bank reconciliations, things like that, that the typical accountant is doing at month-end, a little bit of account schedules and reporting. So very heavily focused on kind of that financial routine month-end piece of it.
Yep. Fantastic. And that's very typical with a lot of people who are our students, that they have backgrounds like that as well. And I know one of the first things that we had you do as you started with us was to attend one of our controllers boot camps so that you could see what that training was all about and learn about how to train in that way. So what did you observe about the controllers boot camp that was exciting to you about that kind of training for accountants?
Yeah, so at that point, actually, I had never had any sort of formal NAV or Business Central training. So I was really curious to see, what was in store, how much of the system I actually knew, what was going to be new to me. And, some of my biggest takeaways were actually things like, oh my gosh, you can use the letter T to fill in today's date on documents, reports, things like that. So a lot of little takeaways that for me ended up being big time savers. But at the same time, it was nice to kind of just see the whole picture coming together of, here's your entire purchasing cycle. I might have been entering purchase invoices, for years at my position, but never did I really get any visibility into here's how a purchase order is generated, your releasing of the purchase orders and what happens after that point. So it was really nice to kind of just get that visibility into the rest of the purchasing cycle, as well as seeing the sales cycle through. Even though I wasn't doing anything in the system really related to sales other than a few intercompany invoices, it was really nice just to see how similar the sales cycle actually is to purchasing and kind of see that consistency of the functionality of Business Central. And in the Controllers Bootcamp too, you kind of start a little bit more basic on day one, just making sure that you can navigate through your system, that you can personalize your screens, that you know exactly what data you're looking for and how to find it. And then you work through the purchasing cycle, the sales cycle. And then by the end of the week, you're building your own account schedules and building financial reporting packages in Excel and things like that. So just kind of seeing that full circle cycle of this is the accounting process, that your company might be using was really cool, instead of kind of just seeing your pieces of the role and not knowing necessarily how that's tying in with everything else that's going on in your system. So that was really neat. And I learned so much, even after being a user, for 4 years of the software. There was so much that I learned that I had no idea I didn't even know at that point.
Yeah, and now we get to teach other people about that kind of stuff all the time, Cari. And I just love how your real world experience really applies with the training that you do. I know that you recently put together a custom training for a customer on Excel, and that you were really able to very much impress them with the work that you did because you geared it towards using Excel with Business Central for accountants. Can you tell us any highlights from that class?
Yeah, I could talk about Excel all day, so I'm really happy that you asked about that. It's interesting with Excel too, because it is a Microsoft application. So there are many ways that you can do something in Excel and get to the exact same result. And it's similar in Business Central. So even just seeing like the consistency of that within the Microsoft kind of, apps that we're using is pretty cool. I know that we, started even a little bit basic with here, just some basic formulas. And then we moved a little bit more advanced into tables and more complicated formulas and nested formulas and things like that. So I think one of my favorite parts was breaking down a really long nested formula and just kind of looking at the individual pieces of it, because you might see this crazy formula that somebody wrote and it looks like it's really complicated. But when you actually break down the individual pieces and you start to build that formula by each piece and then combine everything into one, it really becomes a manageable formula. So working through that, I think, was really cool, because you could kind of just see everyone like, oh my gosh, I can build these really cool formulas now. I know how to build these, how to do this. So that was a really cool moment working with that specific class.
Yeah, I love that. I love seeing how your real world experience makes a big difference for customers. And I know that my experience as a controller makes a big difference. And we see that with our other trainers. What do you think is the secret sauce with that real world experience and why that makes a difference with our customers and how they do with our training?
I think it really makes a difference because we've learned, throughout the many years that we've been using the software, what really works for us. What are these little, even time-saving tricks that we can use throughout the system to save us time? And on the other side of the spectrum as well, we've learned the things that we wish worked a little bit better with the system. So I know when I was using it, Dynamics Nav as an end user, I hated doing intercompany. It just, to me, it seemed like it should work better. I never, quite understood the flow of things. And it just seemed like it was a little bit of a hassle every month end to kind of get those intercompany transactions through the system and even just to see the details of those transactions. So there's a couple of things that we've experienced as well that even now users, I don't know how much Microsoft has improved upon the intercompany functionality. I think there's still a little bit of room for improvement on that, but just sharing, the pain points that we have had and workarounds for these things in the system. I think it's really valuable to talk to somebody who's, we've been in their shoes. We've been trying to figure out a better way to do something or a faster way. And I think that's really valuable to a training.
Yep, absolutely. So what other kinds of things do you think makes NewView training different from other training that you've seen out there?
I think for NewView, we really focus in on how your processes can kind of support your business. So how you can use your system to actually support, the business processes that you already have. So even just showing people a lot of things in the system that they don't know, because you never know what you don't know. I think that's a really important piece that we bring to the table of training, because we've had, those years of experience, and we all as a whole have our different areas of expertise as well. So I know you and I love the finance piece of things, and we have people on our team who are more focused on the warehousing piece or the operations piece, or, maybe the IT or development piece. So it's really unique too to have those kind of areas of expertise and get, the different experts or subject matter experts to share their experience with those different pieces of the system to kind of come together as a whole.
Yep. Fantastic. Yeah, I do love seeing that kind of collaboration with those different areas and how that helps our customers to figure out the big picture for them. Cari, one of the things that I've talked with all of our trainers about in these interviews for the podcast are the thing that really gets them the most excited about training, and that's the aha moment. So every one of us, I think, has a class and we say, oh gosh, I had a customer who had this aha moment and it was just fantastic. So what's the one that you can think of that really makes you smile and be excited about what that customer learned?
I think for me, a lot of times when we show the different functionality of recurring general journals, it's kind of a big aha moment for people because, they know that they exist and there's a couple different types, but they don't necessarily understand the flexibility of them and the functionality that you can use them for. So I know some people ask about, reversing entries that they might want to book accruals at month end. And right now they're manually creating entries at the end of the month and reversing it manually on the next day of the month. So even just the auto reversing functionality of recurring general journals, I think sometimes can be a huge aha moment for people. And Microsoft is also improving upon that functionality in that you'll be able to, as a user, specify the date that you want that reversal to occur on. So previously, if you had posted it maybe a day before month end, it might have reversed in the same month. So that was always a little gotcha or thing to be cautious of. But Microsoft is improving upon that functionality, which is really exciting. And allocations as well. So there's a lot of built-in functionality that you can use with those recurring general journals. And I think using allocations with the recurring general journals at month end is something that people don't necessarily know exists. And a lot of times too, it's because you have to go a little bit deeper into the recurring general journals. It's not necessarily, visible for all of those allocation fields on the journal. So I think that's something that I've noticed. People are really happy when they learn all of this advanced functionality with recurring general journals that can save them time at month end.
Yeah, no, I see a lot of people who get very excited about those features and often say that there's a lot more to it than what they knew how to do when they started class. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us for the podcast today, Cari. It was great to geek out with you on finance topics and training topics in Excel. I'm Cari Peters. Thank you for tuning in to the Get Your New View podcast. For more episodes like this on YouTube, click the subscribe button and ring the bell to ensure that you get notified whenever there's new content coming out. If you're listening to the audio podcast, please share an honest review on Apple Podcasts. If you are ready to rethink today for tomorrow, look for the link below and contact us to speak with our expert team. You won't find the level of no-nonsense, real-world experience we offer anywhere else, and we're here to put that experience to work for you. Do you think you could use more features of your software if you just knew how? Are you frustrated with inefficiency that never seems to get better? Did your team ever really get good training to understand how to use your business software? Do you suspect there just has to be a better way, but you don't know what that is? We believe every company can benefit from increased efficiency and higher utilization of their software, and that it's possible to have fun while learning exactly how to do that. The experts at New View Strategies will tap into the true power of Dynamics Business Central and NAV for your company by helping you to rethink today for tomorrow. Please contact us at getyournewview.com to get started.